Hello there, World of Tankers. Welcome into the channel. I'm, of course, your host, Droodles Blitz, and in today's video, we are going to be talking about this French Tier 9 Premium Medium, the AMX-31 Air prototype. Now, this is an incredibly strong vehicle, and in the literal sense, too, on the turret armor. Normally, when you look at a vehicle like this that has fantastic mobility, going at 60 kilometers per hour, very good DPM at 2600 for a Tier 9 medium, you would think that this vehicle, which is very comparable to a tank like the Leopard PTA, would not have any armor. And yes, if you were looking at the hull, that would be very, very true. But this vehicle, alongside the AMX-30B, have a little trick up their sleeve, and that has to do with the mantlet on the turret. That mantlet is completely impenetrable. And what that means is if you use the full 10 degrees of gun depression this vehicle has, it can become one feisty tank to actually try and penetrate. I figured since there are a lot of these roaming around in Tier 9 that I've personally seen from the lock boxes that you can get the AMX 1357 as, and this as the second-hand reward, and I had two separate donations on my stream last night asking if I could talk about this tank, so I figured, you know what, let's do a review on this vehicle, do the armor profile, talk about the gun, and why even many years after it's been introduced into the game, power creep has still really not hurt this vehicle. So let's start off with the armor. This here is a Leopard prototype. Obviously, both of these vehicles are prototypes, and a fun fact is the AMX-31 Air is actually based off the Leopard PTA. Unfortunately, the Leopard doesn't have any armor. The upper plate's 120, and the turret's sitting at 68 to 70 millimeters thick. Now, we make our way to this tank, and yeah, that's actually quite armored. Now, as I did say, the lower plate, it's terrible. It's based off the Leopard, so it's got 70 millimeters of lower plate armor, 36 on the lower plate. The sides are horrific at 35 millimeters thick. Now, you do have spaced armor on the sides. That's something that you should keep in mind. If you try and HE the sides of this tank, you have to hit the rear or the front. You cannot hit this middle bar, as you will not penetrate any of your high explosive ammunition. The sides of the turret, though, very weak, very easy to penetrate, and same for the rear, only at 30 millimeters thick and 43 on the rear of the turret. But when it comes to the upper plate, that is where this vehicle becomes very troll. The upper plate is 475. Yes, you read that right. It is a super steep angle, and because of that, it becomes super well armored. And if you use this vehicle with its 10 degrees of gun depression, yeah, this thing, if you're managing to hide the weak upper and lower part of the vehicle, I mean, look at the turret. It's 400 millimeters. Even with heat shells running calibrated, you can't pen that mantlet. And that is one tricky spot to not hit. It may look very easy from an angle here, but if you actually play against this tank, it is a very hard tank to penetrate. The cupola is incredibly low down, and it usually acts as a shot trap for people to shoot at, but not actually hit. I love the AMX-31 Air. It was one of my first Tier 9s ever in the game, and I absolutely loved it ever since I got it. It has like 400 games in it, and that's very rare for me. I have not played it, though. I will be honest, I have not played this tank in a long time. In fact, over probably a year since today's live stream. So what is good about this tank apart from the armor? Well, it also has to do with the gun. Sorry, I kind of had a stroke there. But the gun is very nice. It is the same gun as an AMX-50-100, which is a Tier 8 autoloading French tank, as we know. But it's basically put into a single shot form. So instead of having, a 3-shell autoloader with a 20-odd something reload clip, this thing has now a 7.2 second reload with pretty good dispersion. Very nice standard pen at 240, and pretty nice premium pen as well at around 270. It's nothing amazing on the premium pen, but it will be enough to cut through any Tier 9s you do come up against. Tier 10 wise, yeah, you gotta be a little careful. A lot of Tier 10 heavies, as we know, carry a lot of frontal armor. And what that means is you're probably not gonna get that many pens on vehicles like U100's lower plates unless you're loading premium or really super structures of any super heavies, vehicles like the IS-4. Yeah, good luck cutting through. But as you can see, the accuracy from this vehicle is very nice. We've already done 964 damage and snapped a couple shells here and there into the enemy vehicles. We've got tanks like the 50TP, I'm not going to try and pronounce that last part, pushing up towards us, and we also got tanks like the E75TS over here. Let's aim in on the E75TS, maybe we can get a nice penetration. There you go, another nice tap. I really do like the accuracy on this gun. It's pretty nice. I mean, you don't miss many shells, as you can see. So we got a WZ-112 off to to my side, that E75 TS over here, and it looks like I might be in a bit of trouble, as I might be the only one trying to help my team. We did get a very lucky bounce there, I'll be completely honest. I did not expect to bounce that, but we did end up bouncing it as it is. Our team is doing a fantastic job dealing with all of the threats at hand over here. So what I'm thinking is I'm going to drive out in the open, and oh man, that is an Emil 1951. Now the Emil, obviously, is a super duper strong auto-loading tank, but thankfully, because we are using this vehicle with its turret, we should hopefully be able to get some bounces here with the tank. So let's see, there you go, Emil now sees some threat in front of him, so we're going to get a nice tap out. Thank you very much for 300 hit points there. The Emil has fired his second shell, and what that means is now he is in a world of trouble, as he was just taken out. So again, we're going to start reloading. Maybe we can get a shell into the WZ-112 too. There you go, nice tap for 388 into the rear of his vehicle. And again, we're just going to continue tapping and tapping into his tank. That is one weird design on the back of the turret, isn't it? I never realized that lip kind of stays out there because I run the legendary camo. But either way, we're doing pretty good here. There's another nice 370 roll into the 112-2. And sure, he might penetrate us, but it's really not much of a worry as his tank is about to be taken out. So there are two vehicles left in the enemy team, a TVP VTU with 1200 health, who we're gonna maybe snap. Oh, ricochet right on the upper plate, and as well a decently healthy E75 TS, which we are definitely going to get at least one shell out into. There you go, nice tap for 312 and ramming speed. Oh my god, I missed. Oh, that was so sad. Well, good news is we still got 7 damage off, so I'm not going to complain. It was probably for the better anyway that I didn't lose all of my health to that E75 TS. So for the first game we played, we dealt 3,794 damage, earned 65,000 credits, as this is a, what Wargaming likes to call it, a permanently enriched tier 9, but we all call it a premium. That's really what it is. So it earns good credits, and as you saw for the first battle, I mean, we completely dominated that battlefield. Now, as I said, accuracy-wise, it's quite accurate. It's .326, which isn't amazing, but pairing with the great aiming time and on-movement dispersion, which you saw in that battle, you don't really need to aim in much. So your dispersion for a tier 9 medium is pretty good, actually. The reload's nice at 7.15, and as I said, that penetration is fantastic when you're sitting at tier 9. So really, there's nothing bad that I can say about this tank apart from that tier 10 level of pen. As I said, when you go up against tier 10s, yeah, it's a bit iffy, especially when you go up against, let's say, vehicles like a WZ-121 or 121B, anything that has decent turret armor hull-down capabilities, that's where you're really going to struggle in this tank, because 270 millimeters of pen really isn't going to cut it, especially when it is APCR. It doesn't even get that big boost that normally heat would. But with that aside, the great thing about this tank is because it actually has so much turret armor, I feel stronger a lot of the times poking tier 10s in this tank than I do in my average tier 10 medium. Just to do a comparison while we're waiting to load into a battle, this is what it looks like aiming at this vehicle hull down, and now let's compare that to a vehicle like the T62A, which is obviously a tier 10 medium. I mean, you can see how much weaker this turret looks compared to even a tier 10 medium that is known for having some pretty good turret armor. I mean, it's actually impressively strong. So I guess the matchmaker at 220, yes, 2:20 in the morning. I guess I read that a little wrong, but 2:20 a.m. is not amazing. So let's skip ahead with the magical power. Okay, I guess not. I guess we're loading into a battle. We were going to skip, but now we're not going to. So the enemy team has an M6-yo, Object 260. They've got an M5-yo. Those are pretty strong tanks all alone there. The Conway, as many of you know, is ridiculous, especially when it comes to its HESH penetration. So yeah, this is a battle I'm going to have to be very, very careful, especially because that Pike knows who I am. Uh-oh. Well, we'll see what we can do here. Now, the Object 260 is not a very hard tank to pen. I might eat my words saying that. But, yeah, the good news is, at least the Object 260, I should be able to get some nice shells here and there into. We've already spotted the T-54E1, and with that, there's a nice tap for 336 straight into that vehicle. So, we're going to see if we can get another tap out, obviously. I'm using my tank hull down. So, there you go, another nice tap for 332. And with that, we've taken off a pretty decent chunk of that guy's hit point pool already. So, we've got the M103 over here, which is a little bit less easy to pen, as you can see. But thankfully, we are now going to tap our adrenaline and start shooting at him again. There you go, another nice tap right right into that turret cheek weak spot. And now we've got vehicles like the 60 TP rolling up over here. I mean, we are very, very healthy on the team's help, which is great. I obviously out-reload the M103, so let's just tap a premium shell into his lower plate. Don't want to expose my hull any more than I need to. And yeah, this guy, he is not really enjoying this company. He's getting all too much, I have a feeling. There's another nice tap into the M103. Damaged his ammo rack, and yeah, I'm sorry, dude, but you are going straight back into the drawing board. So now we got the T-54E1 off to the side over here. We got the Conway as well. Let's back up from the T-54. Don't want to lose a huge chunk of hit points, and nice max roll as well, finishing that vehicle off. We have the Waffenträger off to the side. As we know, the WT is an incredibly deadly tank, so do not want to deal with that tank any longer than I need to. Thankfully, that guy is not sitting very healthy anymore in hit points. You could see, again, that fantastic aiming time on this vehicle, snapping a shell. And with that, we're already sitting over 3,000 damage. I mean, again, you can see just how easy it is to get damage out, even in a tier 10 game with this vehicle. You just sit hull down, you poke the enemy, and you can feel comfortable poking the enemy as well in this tank. So let's see if we can finish off the Waffenträger. I hate dealing with these things. They're a pain in the butt. And yeah, this guy, he's probably going to be a pain in the butt to deal with. So let us speed behind him. I do go 60 kilometers per hour, which is fantastic. I can easily catch him. There's really no reason he would ever get away. So here we go, plopping over the ridge, and boom! Oh my god, oh my god. No, no, no you don't, no you don't, no you don't. Yeah, okay, we're fine, and goodbye. Oh man, I was so worried there for a second that I was about to lose a big chunk of my health, down to the fact that I bounced a, well, yeah, a tier 9 lightly armored tank destroyer. So let's aim it on the rear of that yo. Nice tap for 282. And let's obviously start reloading again. And here we are, fully hull down. Hopefully this yo is going to have a bit of trouble trying to pen my vehicle. Again, I'm just completely hull down here. There you go, though. We did get penned, actually. Very surprised. But good news is that, oof, he went right into my turret cheeks. Didn't even give me a chance. So if I pull up the replay from that live game you just watched and the mistake I made, which did inevitably kill me, this is something that you do not want to do in the AMX-31 error. And it was a pretty good example of what not to do. I was honestly hoping, just as an example for the video, that this tank was going to bounce both of the shells from the yo. But you'll notice I poked the yo and I still had 3 seconds left on my reload. And I proceed to poke him again because I'm stupid, and instead of waiting until I had the shot and then poking, I proceeded to lose 900 health, making my vehicle a one-shot instead of just playing a smart game like I should have. That is a perfect example of something you do not want to do in the 31 error. This is not a vehicle that is going to consistently bounce every shell in the turret, especially if you stare at the enemy for prolonged amounts of time. You can see that the shell clearly went right into the cheek. That is the weak spot we went over before. So if you let enemies aim in on your weak spots, they will obviously be able to hit them. So my advice, and what I normally do in a tank like this, and the same type of thing I do in a vehicle like the Rampans or the AMX-30B that does have weak spots like the cupolas on the roof, is that you don't want to expose your tank for the longest amount of time. You want to say, okay, this guy in front of me, I know where to shoot him, I know where that weak spot is, so I'm going to pre-aim my shell, pull up the ridge, use my 10 degrees of gun depression, bam, snap the shell in, and back up before he even has a chance to fire. And if the enemy has a chance to fire, usually you poke so quickly that they're going to end up hitting your mantlet, bouncing the shell. Don't get me wrong, the armor on the tank is incredible, but it's only as strong as you make it, and if you sit in front of the enemy for a too long amount of time, you're not going to bounce the shells. It's the same example for a vehicle like the Object 260 or even that yo. If that yo was moving back and forth, I probably would have had a much harder time penning his cupola than when I just snapped him in the roof as you watched. So play it like you got a massive tumor, and you'll want to purposely snap your shells and back him the cover. Now obviously not every battle is going to be like that. If you're up against tier 8s, you don't really need to worry as much, as you're going to bounce a lot of shells in the turret in tier 8. But when you're in tier 10 battles and you're playing fairly aggressive, I mean, you'll see me playing this thing up on frontline in mines, you want to make sure that you are doing a peek-a-boom playstyle. I mean, the game we did was still pretty good. We did 4,420 damage, 74,000 credits, and came out with a victory. And that's really all that matters either way, but I definitely could have pulled out easily 5,000, maybe even 6,000 damage if I had not have wasted my hit points there, which is mildly irritating. So, as always, hopefully all of you enjoyed today's video. I thought that this would be a good concept to talk about because I've seen a lot of you guys rolling around in this tank, and it really is a fantastic vehicle. Now, what I will say is, on Vice, the lock boxes is, unless you really want to get your hands on this or the AMX 1357, do not buy these crates, these lockboxes, whatever you want to call them. They are not worth it because the Blitz Fair is going to be out in literally 9 days. And when it comes out, every single day, the auctions have better deals and gold bundles that you just wish that you could get. So, I will say that saving your money is probably a smart idea, especially if you do not want these vehicles 100%. If you're like, I don't know if I want it, save your money, and it's probably a better idea. I mean, these lockboxes are going to be here most likely for at least the next week or two, so you can still come up with a decision if you want it. Watch other reviews if you want. But, yeah, I definitely would say hold off. I mean, does it tell me how long they are still here? I don't think it tells us, which kind of sucks. But, yeah, hopefully you guys know what you want to do with your money, because obviously I can't tell you what to do. But if you enjoyed today's video, please consider smashing that subscribe button down below. And other than that, stay happy, stay healthy, and I'll be seeing you in the next one. Bye-bye.